Hey classmates, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving holiday and I know appreciated the time off. I'm sure other folks did as well. So this is my video for Module 15 over Bullman and Deal's chapters 15, 16, and 17. I really enjoyed these chapters. Starting with chapter 15, Bullman and Deal, I thought did a really great job of reminding us of the complexities our managers face, kind of jumping from fire to fire, how your day isn't always what you planned as you're dealing with what's happening within the organization and sometimes the human element of it. A particular piece that I thought was interesting in Chapter 15 were the tables that identified common processes that a manager might utilize, and then really how they examined that each of these processes could be utilized within each of the 4 frames we've learned about. So I thought that was really a really helpful table or chart to look at. I thought the challenge it also identified was that you as a leader might be using a process with one frame and the goal of that process in mind, but followers' perception on why that process is being used could be quite different. So I thought that was interesting. I also thought in this chapter, the idea that really stood out to me was in the conclusion that managers, they said, Bullman and Deal said, needed a diagnostic map to help assess which lenses or frames might be the most relevant in a position. And again, it made me think a little bit about who are our new managers and how do we prepare and train them, and how do you develop this ability to understand the frames and work between them, and the idea of what are we doing to support managers with that. So do you have a peer group of other managers that you can talk through these situations with. So in chapter 16, I thought the Howard and Marshall vignettes offered really good examples on how a manager could respond using the frames. I also appreciated how Bullman and Deal showed a variety of ranges of responses using the same frame, and thought that was kind of really helpful and fruitful in the examples. I currently lead an organization and I am in my 6th year of doing that, and it was interesting. I followed a really well-loved leader who returned to more of an entry-level position when I joined the office as the leader. And this person definitely lived and embodied the human resources frame solely. And it sounds bad when I say this way, but each person, I kind of say they had to deal with the devil. This manager was really in tune into what would make each person feel satisfied in the work environment and keep them engaged in the work environment. And so, maybe someone had a flexible work schedule to pick up kids. Maybe someone got to assign the work because they wanted to have that kind of sense of control and know what everyone else was doing. And so the work got done, but the focus was on keeping the employees satisfied, but not the goals of the organization. And coming in, there was a lack of structure. Things were done really inconsistently, and I think I relied greatly on the structural frame to clarify job expectations and kind of routinize what we expect from employees based on we all have the same position and we have the same goal of supporting the functions within the college. So I thought this was an interesting idea. I particularly like, again, the idea of how reframing for newcomers can be hard. And again, maybe think about how are we preparing our leaders to be leaders, and are we transitioning in those new leaders with support of mentoring, and what information are they getting about their organization before they start. I really enjoyed Chapter 17. I have some background in leadership trait theory and contingency and LMX and situational, and so I really enjoyed seeing some about that in Chapter 17. But some of the takeaways that I thought were interesting from 17 really were in regards to that, leadership, the idea that it's an activity, not a position, and then also how leadership is different from management. And the other thing that I thought was interesting kind of in the last part of the chapter 17 was that there was the attention of that, leadership doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it started to also focus on the importance of followership. And so I really enjoyed reading chapters 15, 16, and 17, and really look forward to seeing the comments that people have on the discussion board. I think we'll have great discussions this week. So have a great week. Thanks.